Welcome to week 2. Thank you again for your great participation in the discussion boards last week. Y'all did a fantastic job on those. I'll try to get them graded and back to you as soon as possible. I tried to respond to everybody's post. I tried to do that during week 1 because they are kind of like introductions. If I missed you, I deeply apologize. But it was such a joy just to kind of get to know where each of you are, where you're from, some of your goals for the future. I think we're going to have an amazing class. I really do. So one of the things that my students really struggle with the most is probably the discussion boards and not doing those 2 peer replies. So just make sure you're making 2 replies. And I did have the question come up. And so yes, if someone asks a question and you choose to do a reply to that as well, I will count that as your second reply because that's a conversation happening between students. And that's really kind of what this discussion board is supposed to do. It's supposed to kind of help us get to know each other a little bit more, realize that, oh, I'm not the only one sitting in this class because, guys, I have taken online classes before and sometimes it just feels so incredibly lonely. So that will count towards two of your peer replies. And if you want to do more, please do more. I mean, I think it's just a great place to connect and get to know each other a little bit better. So for this week, we are just diving right into your narrative unit. So there's a couple of assignments that we're going to do this week. So make sure that you are either checking I haven't made the announcement yet, so you can't see it here in the news feed. So I'll make it as soon as this video is done processing so I can put it within the announcement. I'll put links to your Dropbox assignments and your discussion assignments both in this news feed. And I'm talking with my hands like y'all can see my hands right now. I don't think they come through on the little webcam at the bottom. But then they'll also be listed here in the course calendar. Of course, you can also go directly to the Dropbox, the discussion boards, or go to this content tab. So I will also put a link to your very first assignment, which is a literacy narrative. And this is a required assignment for MTSU 1010. So if you go to, I've already got it pulled up, sorry, kind of preemptively, but if you go to this table of contents here, if you notice like in week 1, you can find all of the activities and fun stuff right there as well. But you also have, excuse me, I've been a little bit under the weather this weekend, so apologies for any coughing you might hear. But you also have your prompts. And so I have your literacy narrative prompt right here. And if we just click on it, it'll pull it up. You can download it if you need to. I'm not going to go over it word by word just because that's really boring for you and you can fully read it yourself. But the reason we do this literacy narrative is because we didn't want to just do a narrative. Tell me a funny story. You know, y'all have done stuff like this. Part of our goal in 1010 is to determine your relationship with literacy, where it is and where do you want it to go. And it's okay in this. I've had so many students that are like, oh, I don't really have the best relationship with literacy. And that's okay. You can tell me that you hate it. You have got the freedom to tell me that you hate the subject that I teach, and I take zero offense in that. Like, I am really bad at math, and I don't like math. I haven't had a math class since I took dual enrollment algebra when I was 16. So, you know, that we all have our likes and dislikes, and it's okay in this essay if you tell me that you loathe English, all things English. So the important thing is that we as humans live by stories. We're going to listen to a TED Talk by Andrew Stanton that's absolutely fabulous. It talks about stories and how we use stories to help us both understand how we got to a point in our lives, but also to help others to understand that. So literacy is reading, speaking, and writing. Now, you do not have to write about all 3 of these. As a matter of fact, I only want you to focus on 1 to 2 personal stories about reading, writing, or speaking. And it can be like you can do 1 little story on writing, you can do 1 little story on speaking, does not matter. But just 1 or 2 incidences that helped you shape your perception of this subject matter. So yeah, again, think about how you feel about it, focus on those 1 to 2 memories, and I need a 2 to 4 page paper. So let me tell you this, you're not going to impress me if you write 5 or 6 pages. That is perfectly fine. If you want to give me 4 pages, that's great. If you want to give me 2 pages, that's great. But make sure you get to that second page or full second page. I've had a lot of students try to cheat a little bit and only give me like a page and a half. And I'm like, come on. I don't have a formatting requirement. If you want to play around with MLA and try to give me like an MLA paper, that's fine. I'll kind of make some comments on the formatting if I feel like it's a little bit off, but it is not required for this particular assignment. The only thing that I require is that you use a 12-point font because I have old eyes and very bad eyes. I've always had horrible, horrible vision with double spacing and a title. The 12-point font and double spacing is a really, really common format for both MLA and APA. But again, also old eyes, I can read it better. So please, please, please do not type 4 pages of a single spaced essay, because this has happened. And I tell a student, do you know you just typed me 8 pages? I just need 2 to 4 double spaced and a title. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I get more into like development of titles later on. It can just be my literacy narrative, my relationship with literacy, whatever it is. It's just getting into the habit of making sure your papers have a title. So, so anyway, that is going to be this. Just make sure that, as I said, it's in the prompt. So go in and make sure that you are looking at this prompt and going in. And the due date is listed in the, oh, hold on one second. I just need to move something so I can, the working software was getting in the way of my toolbar. If you go to the Dropbox, it has the dates that it is due. So if you go to the Dropbox and you go down here, your literacy narrative is going to be due February 16th. So we have a little bit of time to work on this. We will do a peer review on this paper the week before. So you probably, excuse me, that week of, so the week before, like starting before February 16th, we'll do a peer review that week, and then it will be due on that day. So just to kind of give you an example, I can tell you one of my stories, and I can tell, I'll do 2. So my relationship with literacy is that I do not remember learning how to read. When I was a little girl, I remember still vividly, we would watch Wheel of Fortune because this was back in the 80s. We didn't even have cable. We would watch a lot of television at night, and Wheel of Fortune was on, and that's how I learned my letters. But the big thing is that every single night, my mother would sit with me. We had these old, ugly brown recliners, you know, very 80s furniture. Like if you've seen Stranger Things, think of the Stranger Things house, and that's probably what my house looked like. But we would curl up in that big old chair every night, and she would read to me. And we read Little House on the Prairie, a lot of Berenstain Bear books. I don't know if y'all actually read a lot of those. A lot of books based off of Sesame Street, like they made the little those. And I just remember it being so comforting. And I don't remember when, and Little Golden Books. We read a lot of Little Golden Books. And I don't remember when the shapes on the page came to make sense, and I think it's just because they read to me so much that I picked up on reading very, very early. I love reading. Speaking on the other hand, no, actually, I'll tell you all a different story. Writing, on the other hand, was a little bit different. I struggled with handwriting a little bit. I still remember I was in 8th grade, and we had to write a short story every week in my English class. He would give us like these off-the-wall topics. Like, I remember one of them very vividly was the Popsicle Man and his yo-yo. And we had to come up with the story. It was a great creative exercise. But I've always just had horrible handwriting. So I can still remember, like, my stories were actually good. I actually wound up getting a master's degree in writing, so I mean, the stories were okay, but there would be red ink all over that paper. We would turn them in, they would be hard copies, and then he would grade them with this red ink pen, and it would just be like lots of heavy criticism on my physical handwriting. And I can just remember feeling horrible about it. And I mean, yeah, I probably did need to improve it, but as a kind of spicy 13-year-old, it kind of morphed into, I'm terrible at writing and I hate my teacher. So, and it took me a little while to get over it, to be like, yeah, my handwriting really is not the best. It still is kind of chicken scratch. Thank goodness for typing. But, but that really impacted my view on my relationship with my writing, was that criticism of it. And it was really hard for me personally. And so, stories like that are what I'm looking for. Was there something where, like, maybe somebody criticized something and it just kind of was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm not good at it. You got it in your head that for some crazy reason you were not good at this. Or it could be like a happy memory. Like, I've had lots of students say that, their journaling has been very cathartic for them. It helps them get through really, really hard times, or that their reading is their escape mechanism. Like, they read to like, they find series that they like, they really connect to a character, and they use that as kind of like their stress relief. They read every night. It's a very, very wide range. There's no right or wrong to it. We're going to be slowly working over it over the next couple of weeks. If you want to talk out some ideas with me, I've had several students in the past in my online classes call me and say, hey, I have a few topic ideas. I'm just not sure what I want to write about. Can I just talk it out with you, or through via email, whatever it is? I am free for that. I'm actually going to be home all day on Tuesday because my kids don't have school. For some reason, Rutherford County is having a teacher work day that day. So don't stress about it. Work on the AA assignments for this week. We have a little bit of kind of like brainstorming and pre-writing involved with that. And we will go from there. But as always, if you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. I am here to listen. And hopefully be able to answer any questions. And I hope each and every one of you has a fantastic week.